CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lampp.
I wanted to get a couple of farmers, and there's another one over there, so we'll get them both in here. We've got Dan Billing, who is the Beef and Lamb, chair of the Beef and Lamb Farmer Council. You need to move in a little bit closer, gentlemen. A little bit of a snug here, and we've got this microphone.
So it's going to be cosy.
Yeah, it will be cosy. And Matt Holden. So g'day, welcome, Matt.
I'm nice, friendly. G'day, Andy. Hi.
Good to see you, mate. Did you bring me a bottle of wine?
No, I didn't. It's all up in my brother-in-law's in Gisborne, that beautiful TW Chardonnay.
I know. I want some of that Carmen Air again. So we'll need to get back there and get a bit more. Dan, nice to meet you. I met you earlier on. You and I've butchered the name. Let's move around a wee bit further while we can see if we mate. I've butchered your title. So give us, what's your beef and lamb role?
Well, it's not uncommon for that to actually happen.
Right.
Here, but so I'm the chair of the National Executive of the Farmer Council for Beef and Lamb.
Brilliant. And what is that role?
So my role is essentially the executive of the Farmer Council Executive is the chair and deputy chairs of each of the 7 regions of the Farmer Council around the country come together, and that forms the executive. I chair that forum.
You're also farming?
You also farm and also have a consultancy business too.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah. So
You sound like you're the big dog, Dan. I'm just.
What do you do?
Well, I'm involved with a little sheep breeding business called Kelso, and that keeps me off the streets.
That's good. From the Hawke's Bay.
From the Hawke's Bay, that's right.
Why are you here then? Why are you here at this? I mean, obviously, Beef and Lamb Ag Innovation Day is a big part of it. What are you looking to get out of it?
Well, Andy, thanks for the opportunity. And our tagline at Kelso is listening, thinking, innovating. So anything to do with innovation is it's right in our wheelhouse. And I haven't missed one of these yet, and I think we're actually really lucky to have these events in the North Island.
Right.
We just won't tell our South Island buddies. Okay?
No, well, actually, Dan, why don't we have one of these in the South Island?
Good question.
That's
because it is a very, very good day. I should have asked Dan Breyer that, shouldn't I?
Yeah, well,
that's the start of the end.
But this is an event that has been well supported for the duration of its lifespan. The equivalent down the South Island this year is going to be the After Game, right?
Yeah.
But that's going to be that change between North and South Island each year. There is nothing stopping this being something that actually does become a South Island thing as well.
I've heard about this event over the last few years, and it's the first time I've ever made it here. And I do love the concept of the innovation and having them all in the one place. And obviously it's very, very well supported. You have 260 odd people here. And as I've said earlier on in the show, what's impressed me is the number of farmers here. Yeah. You go to a lot of these events, don't you, Matt? And there's full of RPs,
Well, I think the key with this event, it's the quality of the speakers that they get, and full credit to Beef and Lamb. And, just listening to Mark Mortimer from Australia and, RFID, the future's there, and it's obviously it's mandatory in Australia. So I think it was a real insight to the benefits. And I think typically, EIDs or RFID tags, farmers will view them as a cost. I think they've got to look at it as an investment, and it's no different to, we've just been listening to Halter. These are investments, aren't they? And then we listened to Jared Mayer, the Chief Insight.
Yep, you just had him on.
Officer for MPI, and
great speaker.
Incredible. Look, it's all about the technology going forward, and we've just got to embrace it.
What was interesting, Dan, when we were talking to Jared just before, and he said, we're in a situation now, and he probably obviously said this, but he said it to me, where we're actually managing to flip the narrative, where farming is, the technology is there for farming to actually be carbon neutral or carbon positive and environmentally positive as well, which is quite the, and I said to them, well, that's going to annoy the anti-farming sector, is it? When they've got to start giving us credit for things.
Yeah. Think about it. I mean, all those topics, there's a classic example of one that actually provides an opportunity for people to actually sit there and go, well, there's more to what we can actually offer, society and just the industry as a whole. It's not just about the fact that we're going to get up every day to chase sheep and cattle around. It's, we are actually futurists.
And the thing is, like, and I don't know whether this is mentioned, but the thing that, and you look at the levy body, the levy paid by all farmers, whether they're dairy farmers, sheep and beef farmers, deer farmers, we invest back into our own sector. There's not too many other sectors that do that in this country, right? The research and development, we're talking millions and millions of dollars from farmers willingly, most of them, investing back, right?
Yeah, right.
Look, and I think, today's just a real insight to the innovation within New Zealand. And when you look at a product, and I know the Holter story better, but it was born, because of a need, not a want. And it's just such a cool story. And I think, and as you heard them and the guys from the Gallagher team, they, it was said, look, this is like when you had a tractor without a cab, then getting a tractor with a cab. It's a game changer, isn't it? And the thing, what I see now is that this technology and other technologies to come, it's putting the fun back into farmers, and farmers are happy. And if we've got happy farmers, it's happy days,
Oh, it's one thing, you farm for lifestyle, which is what technology gives you, but then you also sit there from a financial perspective, you've got that return, which allows you to do both those.
Yeah, we talked about that just the other day, actually, when I was up filming a video for Sense Hub up in Hamilton with the farm we were on, and talked about the technology gave the farmer work-life balance, the ability to be off the farm, but be able to keep an eye on what was going on and didn't need to physically be there the whole time, but knew what was happening was right, which otherwise, I remember when I was farming, that was, you go away for a day or a week or something and you just, what the heck's going on? You've got that luxury now.
Well, they're connected, isn't it? It doesn't matter where they are geographically, but they're connected to their farm. And I think it shows the commitment that farmers have, to their farm, their business and the industry, isn't it? And they, to be honest, I think farmers, they're unsung heroes and we actually need to celebrate them more. And this sort of technology is really putting them on a pedestal, I think, which is really cool.
Oh, it gives an opportunity to celebrate, right?
Yeah.
We can sit there and demonstrate that we're actually doing the right things for the right reasons at the right times now. And, the benefits are this.
So, Dan, what have you heard today here that excited you personally, farmers?
I love the MPI presentation, right? And it's about provoking thought about what the opportunity is for some of that technology, the AI, where are we actually heading with it? What can we actually do within our business, help make it easier? Go back to that work life and financial outcome. Yeah, great.
You look at me.
Yeah, I want to find out what excited you.
When Mark Mortimer, in his first slide of his presentations, one of the key points was genetics.
Yeah, of course. Right.
Of course.
Yeah. But then, see, I actually made this point to him, actually, when talking about sheep and beef farmers, because as a dairy farmer, genetics was everything to us. Sheep farmers have been interested. They bought a ram off a stud farmer, and that was it. That was their interest in genetics, traditionally, wasn't it?
Well, it used to be until Matt Holden came along with Kelso.
Oh, here we go. How many? I'm going to bill you. I'm actually going to bill you for this. Well, Sarah, you know what's going to happen.
The thing is, we're in the service industry, but it's actually selling a ram is just part of what we do. And actually, but you just said it. And I remember my first ram breeder, I only saw him once a year and heard from him one other time. That was when the invoice turned up. But it's about making it an experience, but it's not one time, it's throughout the year.
Is that a fair statement, Dan, what I just said about sheep farmers in particular? Just buying a ram and that's it? That's the genetics work done?
Well, that's what the perception was. They thought that the ram breeder was going to do all the work for them. But there's more to it than that, right? They actually need to be doing a little bit more in terms of the background history, the DD that actually suggests that the ram breeder they're using or the genetics that they're using are actually aligned with what they're actually trying to achieve.
Yeah, I suppose it is different to a dairy farmer because the cow obviously is producing milk, not just offspring. So there is a different scenario there as well. But
they see it daily, don't they? They can measure their management daily. But and I think the next thing will be wearables for sheep.
Wearables for sheep?
Yeah, that'll be exciting. Yeah.
Why? So you can. So when you know when they're going to die.
It's the information we can get, and and we've heard it from Holter, and even Mark Mortimer said, it's in using that information to make valuable decisions.
Dan, just come around a bit, losing you out of shop.
But that's the key, though, right? Is we're going to see this technology evolve, and we're going to see this technology actually give us more tools and more information to utilise. But it's seeing the farming systems and the businesses actually utilise that information for the right reasons. At the moment, we're starting to see people utilise wearables as a great example of they're using it as a silver bullet or potential silver bullet, where it's actually not getting any benefit from everyone. The good guys are using it and getting great returns, but there's still the people that are a little bit behind the scenes and it'll take a little bit while for them to get their return.
You've been in the game a while, Andy, so you would have heard this, many times. But if you can measure it, you can manage it, isn't it? And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. It is about that measuring, managing. If you can't do it, you can't do that. So I guess we're coming to the end of the conference. 2 years. It's a biannual.
Yeah.
We need to have a chat and make sure that 1 year here, 1 year down in the South Island. I reckon.
Good luck getting that out of the regions. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon we'll put it somewhere. We'll put it somewhere, Flash, nice and central, because this is nice and that's part of it, right?
Well, what the draw card here is actually, it isn't in those big cities, right? It is actually, we're in the heart of farm. And that's what you're dragging people out of Hawke's Bay, you're dragging people out of Wairarapa.
They come far and wide. Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely see that.
Certainly got runs on the board.
How long's it been going for?
16 years.
Oh, really? So she's
16 events, sorry.
Oh, it's 32 years.
Yeah. Well, 16 years. Yeah,
I think initially it was every year.
Oh, right.
But I think, just sort of belts been tightened a bit. Sort of.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
But,
that does make sense. All right. Just before we go, have you survived the weather, Dan?
Yep. We got a lot of water, and we're sitting probably the most intense rainfall that we've had since Gabriel.
Wow.
And you look at the region as a whole, there's a bit of flooding and a bit of damage, but we'll pull through. We do every time, resilient enough.
A little bit of work to do when you get home.
Yeah, that's right. A few more poles.
Yeah. What about you? How did Hawke's Bay go?
Well, I think, and from just the people I've spoken to, Markree has certainly been in the eye of the storm. I think they've had well over 300 mils. Unfortunately, there's a lot of flooding. But I think other parts of Hawke's Bay, especially the north, they've had rain, but nothing that's caused too much damage. But
yeah, well, if the weather forecast is correct and we end up with a super El Nino, you might look back on this with very fond memories. I don't know, but I don't know what this area is like with one of those. But certainly the east coast, Hawke's Bay won't be flash. So coming up into the spring and the summer, but we'll worry about that then, eh?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is, isn't it? But But as you say, there's a lot of resilience out there, and we just wish everyone well and stay safe.
Hey, well, nice to have you here with us, Matt Holden and Dan Billing, mate. Your whole team, obviously, Beef and Lamb, you're chair of the Farmer Council, so I know you'll be very proud of the work that this team's put in, because it's been a very, very successful day.
Great day.
Yep.
Great day.
And it's lunchtime. Where you go.
Thanks, Andy.
I'm holding you up from lunch.
Hey, thanks, Andy. We look forward to hearing Sir JK this afternoon.
Yes, he was fantastic, by the way. You can download the app. You need to do that. Right. You do that. Right.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lampp.